sight is particularly, their sort of perception of movement is a particular. Karula, I just missed you. That's the way of the world. These are wild animals, and as a result, not always exactly where you expect them to be. I'm just gonna, just a chance, just take a chance and go in to this area where she was before. Let's see if she's not around here. It's one of her favorite spots. She was here twice in 1 week with Brent and her kill. Now let's just check it. Karula. Ah, well. It was a nice thought, but no luck. I'm also listening now if she is moving for that. That's exactly what I'm listening for. Squirrel alarm calls. That was a frantic one as well. Where is the squirrel? Squirrels are also false alarmers. They alarm call at snakes, leopards, lions, other squirrels, their reflection, a leaf blowing in the wind. Any excuse to make a racket, they will take. I suppose it makes sense. You've got to be a lot more afraid of things if you're a lot smaller. That squirrel just went crazy and then went quiet again. I wonder if we've just missed her crossing the road. Let's just listen for 1 second. I just want to listen to the sounds of the bush. Might hopefully give her position away. Squirrel? What was that all about? Okay. Which way to go? South, I think. We don't have much else to go on, so we'll go on the assumption that she's going south to fetch cubs, and I hope that that pays off. Go back the other way around. Yeah, kudu, Liz is right. Kudu you can trust, squirrels, not so much. Actually, all members of the antelope family, the spiral-horned antelope family, kudu, bushbuck, Nyala, tend to be probably your most reliable source of information. And the other interesting thing, of course, for our new viewers, there is one species one predator that no animal even bothers to alarm call about. And that is wild dog. The animals don't even waste their energy standing, looking and calling. They know if they've got that cat in their sight, they're alarm calling to warn everybody else, but they know they're not in danger because it's not the cat you see that gets you most of the time. But when a wild dog pack comes running through, they race off. They don't stop to think, they just run. And you've just got to run faster than your neighbor when it comes to wild dogs. The testiculars are alarm calling now. Sometimes they alarm call for leopards. Karula. No. They're just chirping. We've got to make sure that we don't go racing off and miss her because we've been going too fast. There's a boubou. There's 2 boubous in that tree. That's a bird we don't often get to see. And can you see them there? They're jumping around in that bush willow. Yeah, in that tree. Try going a little bit higher. There-ish. They moved into that thick stuff. There we go. Saw movement there. Hopping up. There we go. Perfect. Thank you. A southern boubou. which sounds like something you get when you're a kid, when you graze your knee or your elbow. It is spelt B-O-U-B-O-U. A southern boubou, and we hardly ever get to see them. Cool. A really nice one for those of you who are budding birders to add to your bird list. We've come through into the middle of a bird feeding party. Now, Mary, you wanted to know, there's one there at the bottom, Gert. It's just a little bit low. It's hopping around, slightly clearer. There we go, thank you. You wanted to know if these are migratory birds. They are not. They are a bird that stays with us all year round. They're just very secretive. We don't often see them outside. You can see how they're hopping in the really thick leaves. They are a bird species that's quite shy, much like our bush shrikes, our grey-headed bush shrike, our orange-breasted bush shrike, and of course they are related to them. And that means that they are quite hidden birds. They're quite secretive birds, so we hardly ever get to see them. That was wonderful. Well done, Gert, for managing to get them on camera. Not often that we do. I was hoping they were going to call for you, but they seem to be relatively silent. So you want to know how to spell Boubou. It is not spelled like the boo-boo that you get when you're a child, when you fall down. It is spelled B-O-U, B-O-U. And this is the southern boubou. I admit it's a funny name. There are funnier in the bird world, but I won't go down that road. Let's just say that the southern boubou is a relatively normal name in birding terms. The southern boubou. There he is. Yes, well done. Oh, might be the longest southern boubou sighting I've ever had. The more you say it, the weirder the name starts to sound. Like our black-bellied bustards. Wonderful. Well done, Gert. Let's go look for Karula now. And Honey Ocelot, you want to know if if we can make a boo-boo call. Somewhat frustratingly, I can't think of exactly how it goes. It's a whistle, and it's a beautiful whistle, and if I heard it immediately, I'd be able to tell you that was a boo-boo. Perhaps if we ask Brent really nicely at some point during the safari, he might play you a boo-boo call on his birding app, so that you can hear what a boo-boo sounds like. They don't say boo-boo, so the name, I'm actually not 100% sure where the name comes from. I don't know why they're called boo-boos. There are a couple of different boo-boos. There are a couple of different species of boo-boos. We only get the one here. So we'll have to ask Brent to play you the southern boo-boo call, unless Byron thinks he can do a good impression of it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's a nice whistling call. I told you the birds would all be out and about and happy. Now that the rain has fallen, they know that the insects are going to be all over the show. They're going to be happy little birds. There we go. Aaron has named one of the boubou species. Aaron, you want to know if we see the tropical boubous. The tropical boubous on Djuma. Sorry, it's sounding weirder the more I say it. We don't get the tropical boubous on Djuma. They're much more based in the sort of riverine areas. Even the southern boubou likes the denser vegetation, but the tropical boubous, not here, unfortunately. Also I think very pretty birds. Speaking of Brent, and of course first thing in the morning of breakfast, let's go across to him so he can share the lion sighting with you.
Well, Tinyo just rushed in and chased the lionesses off the kill. Now he's greeting them. Now it's going to be interesting to see if Mfumo responds to this. One of the lionesses has dragged the kill a bit further away. Also, one of them is sporting quite a nasty gash on her left shoulder. It looks like a buffalo horn wound, but nothing too serious. It doesn't look like it punctured the rib cage, just looks like a superficial flesh wound. Okay, let's see what Mr. Tinyo is up to. Is he going to chase them again? Oh, he's got a bit of a limp. Probably from fighting with Nkuhuma. You can actually see, it looks like he's got a bite on his foot. There we go. Well, Amber Eyes is greeting him. Oh, grumpy. Now, Nkuhuma's head's up. We can't see him from where we are, but... Oh! Now, this is completely normal behavior. Oh, look at this. Oh, there we go. Blood's still up. Nkuhuma is definitely still the authority. Okay, let's just try to get around. And you can hear all the cubs now getting in. Row, row. Isn't that incredible? Now that is very common when there's two male lions in the same place, especially around a carcass, especially with lots of cubs and females around. Ooh, where's that landmine, Liam? I don't...
No, just go straight, right?
Oh, no. So when I refer to a landmine, I of course refer to lion dung. It is not something you want to drive around over and keep the smell with you for the rest of the day. So you can definitely see that Nkuhuma is still the authority of these two males. He's also got a limp. They've probably been going at each other a few times already this evening and this morning. Okay. I'm just trying to think. He's growling again. He might go at the lioness as she tries to sneak towards the carcass. He's just asserting dominance. He might tolerate one of the cubs on the carcass. There we go. Oh, the cub doesn't want to tolerate him on the carcass. So all the lions are quite spread after that little tiff. Now, on lion standards, that wasn't a big fight. That was a small one. And the one we saw a few weeks ago was about a medium-sized fight. So none of these have been proper, serious lion fights. Well, everything's calmed down a bit. There we go. Everyone's quite spread out, but it does look like the blood is slowly coming down to a simmer rather than a boil. Not sure which lioness has got the gash in her left shoulder. It doesn't look like that one. Is it that one? Difficult to see from this angle, but it just looks like a horn hooked her, but just a superficial flesh injury. Look at the cub. He's trying to get licked at the same time Mom is trying to clean herself. Lick me, please. Clean me, Mom. Please. No, Mom. Me, please. There we go. Sleepy cub perched on the termite mound. Hi, Jenny. Jenny would like to know, does the fighting frighten the cubs? Or do they just get excited? Jenny said, I would say it's a bit of both. Just, Vim, come on to the carcass, just in case he decides to chase that lioness who snuck up. I'd say it does frighten them. They do move away, but they also do get excited in the aftermath, and that's when they all start trying to roar, make noise. Let's see what happens here. See if he growls at her. See how very, very tentatively she's approaching the carcass. Okay, well, we're going to stay here, see what happens in this interesting interaction. While we do that, Jamie's got the smallest carnivore in the whole of Africa.
Look what we've just found. Tiny baby dwarf mongoose. They probably only just started venturing out of the safety of the burrow with their adults. And this is such a perfect time. You never get to see this. Oh, this is too special for words. Oh, little ones. The smallest of the carnivores that we get out here. Oh, he was so cute. And to see the babies is a very special sighting indeed, especially this young. I'm making a sort of a generic squeak that mongoose often respond to just because they're very bright and very curious. And just like that, that's probably the... Oh no, there's another little one. It'll come through into sight in a moment. These babies are so tiny, they would fit into the palm of my hand. The dwarf mongoose, the adult dwarf mongoose, is probably about half the size of my forearm and only a couple of grams. But the babies, oh my goodness. Wait, there's one that's gonna follow the other back into the hole. They're there, they're all crowded around it, they're checking that it's safe. There's you'll see the little baby in a second. It's just hidden behind that termite mound. It's being groomed by one of the adults, I think. Hi guys, the smallest carnivore on Djuma, mammalian carnivore that is. Oh, where's this little baby gone now? And as I said, it is really unusual to see baby dwarf mongoose. And you know what's amazing? This is the same group. There it is. It's just popped out now. There we go. Hi, little one. It's not much bigger than a hamster. In fact, it is. It's hamster size. It's a big hamster size. And back in. That's why we had to rush you across, because you never get to see them, and they only come out in the morning in the sort of first initial stages of their adventures away from the burrow, so that they can be groomed by mom, so that they can be suckled. Oh, this is special. Let's go over to Byron and see what he's got.
Look what we found, everyone. Remember I said having a look at termite mounds, and that is crucial at the moment. You might get a lot of activity. Now, I found something. I think it's a. I've hit a complete blank. It's not quite a snake, but it's. It's a blind, I think, what are they called? Blind beaked snake, or I think they do fall under the snake family. They do indeed, but now I can't remember, and I've hit a complete blank. I will look it up as soon as I get back. I can't believe I've forgotten what these are. I've seen a few of them before. But isn't this interesting? Now, I don't know what it's doing. I don't know if it's managed to find something in there that it's trying to kill, or if it's trying to come back out or get in. I'm not sure. It hasn't been moving in or out. But isn't this fascinating? It is a species of snake. It's definitely a species of snake, but I just can't remember what they're called again. Oh, you see what happens when you sometimes get used to seeing things, and then when interesting creatures like this pop out, you forget what they are. And I've drawn a complete blank. Yes, so it is definitely a blind snake. I know Steph's watching in the FC at the moment. Yeah, so exactly, like I said, it's this blind snake, but I'm not sure which one. But maybe a Schlegels blind snake. This is fascinating. Look at that. I wonder what it's trying to do in here. Oh, this is so cool. This is so different. Something very, very unique and different that we don't get to see often. And these are the types of animals you could expect to see after rain. Because the soil's a lot softer, and a lot of these blind snakes burrow a lot. And when the soil is soft like this, then it's easier for them to move around and burrow. But I think it's trying to get away. I think it's trying to squeeze in there. And that is fascinating. Some of these little blind snakes have got a bit of a hinge on the nostril, or not quite the nostril, but on the mouth and the nose, that they're able to dig and burrow very, very well. I was hoping it'd come out for us. Have a look, maybe, so we can see that head, because they are very, very different looking. And I wonder if it's not trying to eat something. I wonder if it didn't chase something in there, into this hole. Isn't this fascinating? This is so interesting to see. I'm trying to listen to see if I can hear anything. It does sound like it's eating something. Now, Omkar, you asked if it's venomous. Some of these blind snakes do have a bit of venom. But I don't think anything that we need to be worried about. I think they're mildly venomous, and they use venom to catch whatever they are eating, but I don't think we need to worry about it. Interesting behavior. Anyway, I'm going to sit around there for a while and see if it does come out. If it does come out, I'll get you back to have a look at it. But in the meantime, let's head back to Jamie with some baby dwarf mongoose.
This is absolutely amazing. I think we might be witness to one of the first forays of these little baby dwarf mongoose into the open, and the poor adults are rushing around like mad things trying to collect them, and every time they grab one and put it back in the hole, another one comes dashing out. There we go, she's carrying it back to the hole now. She's got one, she's carrying it back, and now she's going to drop it in, and then as soon as she turns her back, they come running out again. Oh, these poor parents. Of course, the whole family of dwarf mongoose is devoted to looking after these babies. And so only the alpha pair will breed, and the rest of the... Look, see, escapee. And it's out again. Oh, not quite brave enough. I think it's going to go back. There it is. Oh, this is such a big, wide, and exciting world. And there's at least 4 of them that are roughly the size of hamsters. Here we go. They're going to be Oh no, now there's another one escaping. Oh dear. You've got to have eyes in the back of your head if you're a mongoose. Oopsie. Oh dear. Someone took a tumble. Oh my goodness. You know what? I shouldn't have favorites, but you won't believe this. This is the same mongoose family that we saw so long ago with the cobra that had... I'm sorry, I have to laugh. It's just too cute. That the cobra that had come slithering through, and we watched them for ages as the adults transferred the young. And Mind Warp, you apparently were talking about the time we saw them. They were carrying their babies from one spot to another. It was truly one of the most extraordinary dwarf mongoose sightings I have had to date. Mind Warp, this is the same group. I know because they live. This is exactly where that sighting was. So almost with certainty, I'll tell you that it's exactly the same family of mongoose. How cool is that? These are the smallest baby dwarf mongoose I have ever seen. The whole world is so exciting. They're like little kittens almost, exploring their world. Oh, this is too special. This is not a sight that you see every day. And just a reminder to our new viewers, there are another one's going in, all going in. This is live, so it is all happening right here and right now. And we've got a collection of baby mongoose jumping around and playing. It is extraordinary. And if you do have any questions that you would like to ask, you could send those through on #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarthTV. I'm just trying to think. Sorry, give me a second. I'm trying to think of the name for a baby dwarf mongoose. We discussed it not too long ago, and I can't remember. Did we decide it was a pup, or was it a kit? It's not a kit, it's a pup, I think. Dwarf mongoose pups. I mean, these are relatively arbitrary terms that are applied, but they do have official names. I'm just trying to remember. Oh, it's because the baby mongoose have turned my brains into mush. Promise you, I've never seen anything like this. It's so early for them to be out. And I really think this might be one of their first explorations. Oh, you're getting so brave. Some of them have run right away from the burrow. Some of them not so brave. Others are almost invisible now. If you go in a little bit, Gert, you should see one there just off to the... There we go, the adult's going to fetch it. And back. Oh, these poor adults. You know what? I think there might be... maybe I'm crazy, but I keep seeing one that looks slightly larger than the others, which is quite unusual. Are they suckling now? No. I thought for a second perhaps Mom had come to feed them. It would be very unusual to see 2 generations of babies. Oh! All rushing around. These poor adults have got their work cut out for them. It's worse than herding wet cats. All the while being watched by a hornbill. It's watching the comings and goings with a very stately air. Oh, got you. And back to the burrow, back to the burrow, back to the burrow with you. Go back home. And stay home. But now... the adult's got its work cut out for it again, because there's still one that's left out. So as soon as she leaves it, the others are going to escape again. Sorry, Rebecca, I was so distracted by what was happening in front of me, I didn't even hear the question. Ferrati wanted to know what the dwarf mongoose feed on. They feed on insects. They're mainly insectivorous. They can also catch things like reptiles. Sometimes they feed off frogs, amphibians. We only get dashing across. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted. I can't stop watching them. Okay, I think all of the babies have been netted. That's a teenager, so that's probably one from a previous litter. I think that's why I was seeing a larger one. Our dwarf mongoose are carnivores that are particularly specialized. They're very good at catching and killing scorpions, and they're very good at digging them out as well. They've got long, fierce claws and razor-sharp little teeth, and I promise you the teeth are razor-sharp. I know because I've been bitten by one. They are razor-sharp. And off we go, and I think... No, I'm not even going to do that because I feel too guilty for the poor parents. They've just managed to get the kids to bed. Let's not wake them up again. That was awesome. The adults have finally managed to gather all the little ones, get them into the hole, stay in the hole. Aaron, I remember looking this up the last time we had a baby dwarf mongoose sighting. I'm trying to remember what the gestation period is. I know that they have on average, they have between 2 to 6 babies each time, and that by around about 8 months they are fully mature, and in fact I think they're actually sexually mature by around 8 months old. The gestation period is, I think it's just a couple of weeks, round about 3. I'll double check in a second and just remind myself exactly what it was. It's a short gestation period, which means that the female can often have several litters in 1 year. Several litters of, I think it's pups. Several litters of pups. Oh, that was incredible. And did you see how all animals do this? And I'm not sure whether or not you noticed. Now, I've had friends in the past that have, there we go. It's just over 4 weeks. Okay, it's just over 4 weeks. 49 to 53 days is the gestation period of the dwarf mongoose. But what was fascinating about that is the natural reflex that all baby animals out here show. When you grab them by the back of the neck and you lift them up, not that I would advise going around grabbing things by the back of the neck and lifting them up, but when the parents do, the babies tuck, curl, and go completely limp. They don't fight. They don't struggle, they just know, and that's lion cubs, leopard cubs, baby mongoose. I have seen baby wildcat kittens before. Wildcat kittens, let's not be superfluous here. I've seen wildcat kittens before, and I've been able to be part of their rehabilitation, picking them up, grabbing them by the loose skin on the back of the neck, because when they are utterly chaotic and you're trying to gather them together, the only way to get them to relax is to lift them up by the back loose patch of skin, and they just do this. They could have been tearing around with teeth and claws, but as soon as you pick them up there, they just do that. It's incredibly instinctive. Cool. That was so much fun. I think unfortunately they're gone. Anna Marie, I have, as I said, these are the first baby dwarf mongoose I've never seen a dwarf mongoose this young. You wanted to know whether or not they are born with teeth, because of course hyena cubs are, and certain animals are not. My suspicion is no, that they will erupt within a couple of days, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have to try and find out for you, Anna Marie. Or perhaps actually I can ask you guys if baby dwarf mongoose are born with fully erupted teeth or if they erupt after a couple of days. That was awesome. We might not have found Karula just yet, but we did find something really cool. And speaking of really cool things and really cool people, let's go back over to Brent.
Well, Amber and the youngest lioness have been quite flirty with Mr. Tinyo, and they've moved a little bit away from the rest of the pride. And I'm wondering if the authority, I'm just going to try and get into a spot where I can see where he last was, whether the authority might not take exception to this and come charging through the bush. Now, we have seen Amber Eyes mating and the youngest lioness mating, and they haven't. Oh, Amber did start sort of showing signs of pregnancy a while ago, but maybe due to health conditions she might have aborted, and it's difficult to say why she hasn't had cubs yet. And she might have a problem with her ovaries. It's very difficult to say. Not all matings always immediately end in cubs. Quite often, a lot of them don't. So, and also the youngest lioness, she's still a little young. Or even though she's having estrus cycles, they normally have their first set of cubs at about 4. So she's still got a way to go. They can have them earlier. They are sexually mature from just over 2. But generally, it seems that lions have their cubs a little later. Now, it all depends on the individual, and we don't know what's happening inside Amber Eyes, but I'm hoping she will have cubs at some point. Now, Tino, are you going to get yourself another smack from the authority by hanging out with the ladies? Now, as Michael says, disputes amongst coalition members are very common in male lions, and Michael's wondering, he says it seems that Tino and Nkuhuma fight more than normal, and why does Tino always seem to be in a bad mood? Michael, I don't think they fight more than normal at all. I just think because of the extended period we've been spending with the Pride, we're seeing these interactions more often. Now, some of the biggest fights, lion fights I've ever seen over mating rights were in the Sabi Sands, and were over with the coalition called the Mapocho, and between two. So a lot of people thought they had an unusually special bond. I personally disagree, and I spent a lot of time with those lions, which was between Kinky Tail and Mr. T. I've seen them absolutely beat the living daylights out of each other when it comes to mating rights, and really much more seriously than we've ever seen Nkuhuma and Tino go at it, and on multiple occasions. So it's normal for coalition members to fight. Do you get sand in your nose, little one? Sneeze, sneeze. Or have you got a buffalo hairball coming? Oh. No. Shame. Everything seems a lot more calm now. I'm just trying to remember, who can tell me the last date we saw any of either of these two lionesses mating? I'd really be interested to know. I think it must be close on 2 months ago, maybe. If that's the case, they should be coming to estrus again quite soon. So it's going to be fascinating to see. I think it is a hairball. Shame. Or was it hiccups? Lion hiccups. Vim, give her a fright quickly. Maybe that'll help. Remember, this is 100% live. If you want to ask questions about the lion hiccups or the hairball, you can send the questions through to the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter, or use the email address questions@WildEarthTV. Looks like hiccups. Her tail's starting to swing, meaning she's getting irritated with hiccups. There we go, she's up now. You see those scars on her side. Well, no, she hasn't quite got rid of them yet. Hi, Ryan. Ryan is 10 years old. And it's great to have you with us again, Ryan. Ryan would like to know, how many cubs can a lion have in a single litter? Well, the most ever recorded in the wild, I think, was 6 or 7 in Nairobi National Park in Kenya. Normally, it's anything from 1 to 4. In captivity, there's been some abnormal birthings, but that could just be because of inbreeding and all sorts of other terrible things. Of over 12 cubs in a litter, but normally 1 to 4 would be average, and 2 or 3 is the norm. Yeah, well, these guys are all flat on the road. And let's go back to the carcass and see what's happening there. Well, isn't this incredible? What a find by Byron, the Schlegels blind burrowing snake, and apparently it's trying to make its escape, so let's go look.
So it does look like this blind snake is moving back into the termite mound. I'm not too sure what it was doing, unless it was feeding onto. I really have no idea, and we couldn't see inside, so I'm not sure. Or maybe it chased an insect in there and was after it and trying to catch it. But it does seem to have been moving quite a way in there now, and possibly lives inside this termite mound. But what an interesting little creature. I mean, that really is fascinating. I'm so glad we got to see it. It was fascinating to watch for a while. But we're going to leave it alone, not disturb it, and carry on our walk, see what else we can find. And James Bear, you want to know how large it is. So judging by what we saw, and I couldn't see the head, but James, it looks like it was about that length, which is fairly large for a blind snake. So about that length, I would think. Like I said, I couldn't see how much of it was in the hole when we found it, but I think it about that long. So fairly large blind snake, and it's only about that thick. So not too thick, and it was interesting. Occasionally it would flatten the body out a little bit, trying to maneuver and make its way into that termite mound. Very, very interesting. Let's see what else we can find. See, and that's what I said, having a look at these termite mounds and after the rain, just after the rain in general, is a great idea, because you never know what you're going to find. You're going to find interesting animals like that probably aren't as active during the rest of the year, but after rain probably become very active. I'm surprised we haven't found any fresh aardvark diggings, actually. Speaking of animals that get active after the rain, and we do know there are aardvark on Djuma, and we've seen their tracks, we've seen the diggings before, and I would have thought that I might bump into a few areas where they've been digging looking for termites after the rain, but nothing just yet. We're still walking around. We're trying to follow up or listen out for those alarm calls again that we had, and we managed to find the kudu that were alarm calling. So we're in that area where we first heard them call, but no sign of any predators just yet. So maybe they saw something, maybe they smelled something, I'm not too sure. But we've had a good look around here, and I don't see any sign. We haven't heard any alarm calls again, and we've been here for quite some time, and we've been very quiet. So if they did see anything, maybe it moved through the area and moved out of the area quite quickly. If it was the female leopard we're looking for, Karula. It's wonderful weather to be walking in at the moment. Nice and cool, which is really, really great. It's always better to walk when it's cool as opposed to when it's very, very warm. Now I can hear, it sounded like a squirrel. I just want to hear carefully, coming from the drainage line behind me. And of course it seems to have stopped. No, there is. There is a squirrel alarm calling down in the drainage line. Now, I know Jamie mentioned it earlier that you can't necessarily always trust a squirrel. I think they are a bit paranoid at times, because I've seen squirrels alarm calling standing on the edge of a branch, alarm calling at absolutely nothing. But, perhaps it saw something. Maybe it didn't. We can always just go and have a look down there. Always, when you are moving towards these drainage lines, you've got to be careful, because you could have animals that are moving around through the thicker areas. You've got to look very carefully and listen out if you do hear anything moving through the thickets. And while we go and investigate the squirrel alarm call, let's head over to Jamie.
Well, it's not Jamie, it's Brent. And only one lioness feeding on what little is left of the buffalo. She actually looks like she's eating the stomach lining. But I think most of the action, and what action we've had here this morning, has played out. And I think for the last 40 minutes or so, we're going to go meander around, see what else we can find. Maybe we can add a bird or two to your bird lists, or maybe we might stumble upon the queen of Djuma, Karula. But it has been excellent, as spending time with Nkuhumas always is. And everyone else has gone to sleep, and this lioness is getting her last bit of sustenance from this buffalo carcass. Anna-Marie is wondering whether the cat streak continues. It indeed does, Anna-Marie. Day 77. Aren't we lucky? Lots and lots of big cats all over the place. We're being thoroughly spoiled. And I think we must make hay while the sun shines, because the more it rains, the more the big cats are going to spread out as they follow their chosen prey species. Okay, Nkuhumas, it's been great, it's been grand, it's been spectacular, it's been growly, it's been snarly, it's been bloody, it's been beautiful. Let's move along. And there we go. I'll give you one last look there. All the cubs and the lionesses and the authority flat cats. Oh, hello, Marsha. Now, Marsha's wondering, with those fat bellies, how long is it going to be before the lions need to feed again? Marsha, I think they'll hunt again, if not tonight, tomorrow. Now, the reason for that is that the lionesses aren't nearly as full as the males and the cubs. So the males have dominated that carcass, and I think there would have been a lot of aggression last night once that kill was made, or if the Nkuhumas made it without the males being present when the males arrived, and also aggression between the two males. So I think the girls are still slightly peckish, and hopefully they might hunt again this evening or tomorrow morning. Tomorrow night, almost definitely. And there's Mr. Tinyo with his two consorts. Be careful, Mr. Tinyo, the authority will get you. Okay. I was going to go to the right, but now since there are lions across the road, I'll go to the left. Oh, we've still got those elephant tracks. Let's see where they go. And hopefully they'll lead to some ellies, maybe some birds. But what a spectacular morning so far. Just amazing, that impressive power. Even though that was a very minor male lion fight, it is incredible. Now we're going to continue searching for everything and anything out here in the African bush. Now, Jamie has found something that can't run away from you.
very true. The tree is not going to run away at all. A little bit earlier when I stopped here to have a look, I think Rebecca was somewhat perplexed by my studying of this particular tree, and she wasn't quite sure exactly what it is we were looking for. And this particular tree is the home of a red-billed, what are they called? Hornbill. A red-billed hornbill nest. And the reason I'm sitting here, I've stopped to wait, is just to see whether or not the male comes in with the next meal for his brood. So the hole is situated in the dead tree itself. The base is quite low. It's quite close to the base. It's around there that I first saw him feeding his little ones. They must be on the other side. There must be a hollow on the other side. And I was hoping that this red-billed hornbill dad might return and start feeding them for you. Because, of course, the red-billed or all hornbill females, when they do nest, they are entirely dependent upon the actions of the male. So she loses her flight feathers and she holds herself up inside wherever she happens to be nesting, and she basically sits there to keep the chicks warm and waits for him to bring her food each and every single time. I saw him earlier. I think he's struggling today to find some food. Let's go see if we can find him. I'm sure we'll find him. He doesn't go far, because obviously the further he goes, the further he's got to trek back with the food concerned. Just a quick finishing or rounding up of that mongoose sighting. That was absolutely amazing. But what was more incredible, after we left, we stayed for a couple of minutes just to see what they were going to do. They were left with babysitters, which is very typical mongoose behavior, or herpested behavior. And essentially the adults go off foraging and they leave often the sub-adults to do the babysitting. These poor sub-adults looked a little bit, in my anthropomorphic opinion, they looked a little bit overwrought, a little bit stressed out with the level of responsibility that they had been given. And it immediately reminded me of many years ago working in the southern Kalahari. The closest town to where I was a place called Kuruman. And in the southern Kalahari there are meerkats, and we were one of the programs that the reserve ran was research into these meerkats, and they'd become very comfortable with people. And of course the meerkat is basically a desert mongoose. Where do you two? I'm not looking for you, I'm looking for a red-billed hornbill. It was a go-away bird, by the way. I don't know where he's gone. I don't know where Karula's gone either. But in the desert, these meerkats, we went there first thing in the morning, and they had 3 gorgeous little babies that were suckling from mom. And then the adults went off to go about their daily business, and the sub-adults stayed with the babies to look after them that evening. And it's very clear to see in red Kalahari sand this massive track going in to one of the holes in the ground, and there was this enormous puff adder. Oh, look at this. Look. It's being mobbed. Sorry, hold that thought. One very miserable looking eagle. I think it's our dark morph Wahlbergs, that very square tail, quite a small bird, so it is our dark morph Wahlberg's eagle. Oh, Drongo's gone. Well done, Wahlbergs, you managed to weather the storm. It was being chased away by a little black bird known as a fork-tailed drongo. You see, these rainy days, or these gloomy days, have so much in the way of exciting things to offer. I'll finish my meerkat story in a moment. Let's just see if any of the drongos come back. And it's not, sorry, that's my fault again. I've forgotten how to take my foot off the brake. It's not hard. This Wahlberg's pair, there's a dark morph and a pale morph pair of them. There you can see the crest being blown up a little bit. Very distinctive on a Wahlberg's eagle. That and the dark eye and the small size of this particular bird are usually the dead giveaways. Now, unlike our 2 pale morph Wahlbergs a little further north, this is a mixed couple. a light morph or pale morph Wahlbergs and this dark morph Wahlbergs. I'm not sure which is which. I'm not sure which is the male and which is the female, but I do really long to see the chicks that they raise. I'd love to see the genetics, because pale morphs, the average form, the sort of normal colour of a Wahlberg's eagle is a sort of a tawny colour. The dark morphs are about 10% of the population and the pale morphs are about 10% of the population, which makes it most likely a recessive gene. So I would love to know what kind of babies the two of them are going to produce, what colour they're going to be. If they're just going to be normal, they shouldn't really be normal, should they? I don't know, I'm not quite sure exactly how recessive the gene is, or if it's a sort of a dual expression gene or something like that. I have to research it a little bit further. Looking very miserable, very likely be the reason for the alarm calls from the squirrels. Emily, you wanted to know if there's a place that you can get for the area. Emily, that's a very good point. I'm just trying to think.
So we're walking around at the moment and just having a look. We thought we saw a track of a female leopard crossing the road, and we're just trying to have a look through this drainage line. But what I have come across, something interesting within this little tree. Oh, hang on. Now look at these beautiful egg casings. Isn't it fascinating? Very bright, shiny little egg casings. I'm not too sure what it is from though. However, I mean, you can see there's been caterpillar feeding on around the leaves, the edge of the leaves around here. You can see that, or perhaps beetles. Now, I'm trying to see, get a clear shot of view of some of these beetles. There are some beetles on this tree, and I'm not sure what species of beetle. There's a nice clump there. Otherwise, let me just look here. They're all over, actually. Tiny little, shiny, shiny beetles. Can you see them there, Jean? Yeah. And it's tricky with the wind, yeah. Moving, I'll try and hold it steady for you. But very, very beautiful. And those might be those beetles might be the ones that laid those eggs just over here. It's interesting. It's amazing if you just stop and have a look at these little trees and bushes around. There's always something on them. It's really, really interesting. It's a beautiful bird calling. And a few of them around. The little brown crowned shagrers, and one's just called off to the side. I'll see if we hear it again. Beautiful call. It's wonderful to stand and stop looking at the bushes, seeing what you find on here, and having all these birds call around you. There's some beautiful birds I'd just like to show you quickly. And they're just up at the top of that tree, fluttering around. There are two of them. There goes the other one. Oh, it's just flown off. Little chin spot batters. I got it. Beautiful little chin spot batters, and you can hear them calling. God, him just flew off there. Wonderful. Wasn't that little chin spot batters? It's so nice walking around these drainage lines, these thicker areas. There's a lot of trees, a lot of bird life and activity going on around here. You can hear all these wonderful birds calling, and those little chin spot batters is only about this big, very, very small birds, but a beautiful call. You can hear them still calling in the distance. And let's see. I'm going to carry on checking just to see if we can't find more signs of that leopard that we had walking around here. I'm going to check the drainage line. While we do that, let's head back to Brent for an update on the lions.
Well, hopefully Byron and Jamie get some luck with Karula, and we're going to head not too far away from there. You never know, she might pop up, but we're going to try to do some birds. And I know Jamie asked very nicely if I would play a call for you, the call of the southern Boubou, and I shall indeed. It is a very beautiful call. I'm just checking Karula didn't come this way. Oh no, that's a swamp Boubou. We don't get those here. We get the southern Boubou. Okay, I'll hold it here. We're hearing it, Vim. Oh no, I pushed the wrong button. That was my fault. So there we go. Now, there's normally an answer. There we go. Isn't that cool? Boop, boop, boop. So that's 2 different birds. And then boop, boop, boop. That's the answer. There we go again. Very, very cool. Now they've got lots of different calls. And Jamie did mention we don't get the tropical Boubou here. Just to the north of us, along the Limpopo River, there's actually a hybrid between the tropical and southern, which is very unusual, and it only in that area where the 2 species overlap. But we're well too far south for that. And there we go, the call of the southern Boubou. Maybe we'll see a southern Boubou around the Mawati River. Now, we have seen black cuckoos this wet season so far. We've seen quite a few of them, and they have that wonderfully mournful call. I'm so sad. And the reason you often find them in areas where you have southern Boubous is that their favorite brood, they're the brood parasites of the southern Boubou. So they actually look for areas where southern Boubous occur in numbers, and the black cuckoos will hang around there trying to find where the Boubous nest. Now, southern Boubous are monogamous, and they stay paired for life. Unfortunately for them, they do end up raising quite a few black cuckoo chicks over their lifetime. Now also, I forgot, Jamie was mentioning the longest travelling kingfisher migrant, and she was spot on correct. It is indeed the woodlands kingfisher that migrates all the way from Mauritania, Chad, that part of the world, and the second longest is the pygmy kingfisher that comes from as far as Somalia. Nicole's wondering if we get any birds here in Djuma that migrate from North America. Not to my knowledge. I'm just trying to think. No. Off the coast, wow, there's a big group of Nyala. And a big pig. Where's that pig? He's hiding. You see him, Vim? Oh, he's running. Oh, is he running or is he hiding? There's a big grey bottom through there somewhere. Let's see if I go back a bit. There he is. Hello, big pig. Oh, no, big pig's off. Now, we haven't seen any baby pigs just yet. Let's just go forward for the Nyala. Nice group of Nyala. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10, 11. And unfortunately, they're moving into the monkey orange thickets. Careful, Karula likes hiding in monkey orange thickets, you lot. Okay, moving off. So, off the coast, especially the west coast of Africa, we do get, off the coast, we'll probably get some migrants that come from off the North American coast as well. Sorry, no, Vulture, but flying far away. So possibly Prince Marion Island down towards the Antarctic. We might get some migrants from North America. Actually, no, I lie, but I'm not sure whether they migrate from North America. I'm going to have to double check for you. I think the red shank might come from North America, and maybe some of the godwits No, I'm absolutely lying. We do on the coast, not here. Your Pacific golden plovers, they all come from North America. Silly, Brent, naughty. Of course we do. We do get migrants, not here in Djuma, but on the coastal areas and around large bodies of water. Now, I can see Jamie up ahead on the road, but apparently she's got something she's been looking for, but it's hiding from her.
Waving hello to Brent. We found something that has been hiding from us, and Brent was about to find it, but we got here first. We'll show you the Speaks Hinged tortoise that now, unfortunately, much like Brent's Nyala, has moved off into a rather prickly position, and is now doing exactly the same thing as Brent's tortoise from earlier, pretending that we can't see it and it can't see us. Just the view of its back feet sticking out. The Speaks Hinged tortoise. Funnily enough, the Speaks Hinged tortoise doesn't actually have a hinge on its shell, unlike some of the other hinged tortoises. Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so you've checked Mumba Road now.
Yes, I've checked Mumba Road.
Okay. No sign of her. I have a feeling I've just been missing her. I think we've been driving around. We've been just missing each other. I think she's still here. I don't think she's crossed. Okay.
Cubs on.
No. Which way are you going to go? Okay.
Don't know.
Cool.
Winging.
All right. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Liam. Okay. Let's try and get a view of the Speaks Hinged tortoise's head. Oh, I was telling you a mongoose story. That's what I was in the process of doing, and then I got distracted by a bird, and then I got distracted by a tortoise, and all in all, the story didn't quite finish. Anyway, so if you remember correctly, now that our tortoise is, hold on, just poking his head out. We'll have to put that story on hold once again. Hello, little tortoise. I think Speaks might be my favourite tortoises, just because I've seen them so many times on quarantine clearings, which is a big open area outside our house, fighting each other. They're like little bulldozers, little tanks, whenever the males fight each other. And those claws on those feet, seriously sort of adapted for the way in which they walk, especially when one finds oneself in such a tricky spot. They don't seem to think about going round obstacles. There's none of that really happens. It's more just let's bulldoze through it and see if I can disappear even further. Amazing they don't poke their eyes. Now, is it pushing up against that leaf, or is the leaf in its mouth? I think it's pushing up against the leaf. Okay, little tortoise. We'll leave you be. We'll pretend that... Is it in its mouth? Can't be. It's a dead leaf. It wouldn't eat a dead leaf. Okay. Let us leave our tortoise and go check along Mumba Road. Even though Brent's checked it, you never know. She might pop out. It might just be good timing. Right, the mongoose story. The long-awaited mongoose story. If you cast your mind back to the start of the story, we'd got back and there was a massive puff adder sitting in one of the holes. Of course, there was concern that perhaps it had managed to catch and eat the little ones. It did have an oddly shaped bulge in it. And the adults arrived back and were clearly in a state of absolute panic. They were squeaking and calling and contact calling, really very frantic, and rushing backwards and forwards, mobbing the snake, and then trying to get into their hole to check that the babies were not there. And it transpired, eventually the mongoose couldn't find anything, so they started ranging further and further, and we followed them. And it transpired that the sub-adults, despite not being fully grown themselves, and at great what would for them have felt like great personal risk, they had carried the babies to another safe spot, running backwards and forwards. And it's amazing the altruism that certain groups, certain mammal groups will show to each other. Eventually they were reunited with much squeaking and happy grooming and reaffirming those bonds between the members of the group. And I imagine that a dwarf mongoose situation would be exactly the same. I somehow have a feeling it's very similar social structure. Oh, I'm sorry. sorry, Emily. We lost our signal, and I never finished your question about where you can get a bird list. The internet should have one. I know that you can buy hard copies in the Kruger National Park, in the park shops. And I think, Emily, there might even be, on the Africam's website, there might even be a list of birds that you can hear, complete with their calls, if you would like to have a look at that. Africam, of course, was the original concept behind Wild Earth, or sort of. It was the beginnings of Wild Earth. So have a look on the Africam website. I think there's a list of birds that you can see here. That might be one place to start looking, but I'm sure the internet will have a bird list of the Sabi Sand. Trying to think, and I know that Kruger does sell them, and you can go there and you can check off the lists. There's the Nyala that Brent were with earlier, having emerged out of the thicket. One massive male and a couple of slightly smaller females. That pretty much tells me that Karula probably isn't around here, or at least they haven't spotted her. He beautifuls. It's been such a lovely morning so far, and it's really topped off. It's put me in such a good mood that the Nkuhumas are looking so healthy. It really has. What's happening there with the ladies? I think they're having a little bit of a scuffle on the left of the big Nyala bull. Some rushing around. Let's see if they will let us get a little bit closer and maybe we can see what they're up to. Sometimes in cold weather, Nyala play in the most entertaining way. They chase each other around, they headbutt. All in all, they just have a blast, particularly the young ones. They gamble. And it's such, I don't know, personally I find one of my favorite things to see. I love seeing all animals and all... Mister, blocked us now. I love seeing all of the animals, but one of my favorite things to do, or to see, is to see animals playing. There's something about that light-heartedness that I think we find really easy to relate to, whether it's the lionesses playing with each other, or the antelope or elephants. I really enjoy watching them play. Wildebeest as well, also thoroughly entertaining. But they've stopped now, just because I said something. I think it was these two little youngsters that were causing trouble. And sometimes female and Nyala fight, you know. Not seriously, not nearly as seriously as the male, but every now and again they do have a little head-butting session. And I'm never fully sure if it's in earnest or if it's in playfulness. We had one sighting where we had Nyala doing obstacle courses, round and round and round and round, and then when they got dizzy they'd change direction and go round and round and round, jumping up and jumping over. It's fun to watch. But I think these guys are a little bit more interested in breakfast. There is one last road that I need to check in the search for the Queen of Djuma. So while we go and look at Battalier Road, let's go and see, on the subject of Battaliers, what Byron has found.
We're just watching a vulture soaring above us, quite far away. It's drifting off now, and that's interesting because it's not very warm, so there probably aren't any thermals around, although it is quite windy, so it's maybe caught some wind, able to fly around and search for food. But interesting to see it just flying in weather like this. It's not usual for us to see vultures flying around, but I did get to this beautiful big tree which has been stripped of its bark by elephant, unfortunately, and you can see the damage that they've caused. Now the elephant, what they do is, I'm trying to see here, I can see a mark right here, and what's happened is the elephants come and they push their tusk into the side of the tree and then that loosens the bark, and then they'll use their trunk to strip the bark off, and they'll tear it down and they'll feed on it. Now the reason for that is these trees contain, or the bark rather contains something known as the cambium layer, which is the inner layer of the bark, and that contains all the nutrients that are being transported from the roots to the tree and vice versa, so up and down the tree. So it's a vital part of the tree. And what happens is, if the elephants strip the bark right around the tree, it's known as ring barking, and that will usually cause the tree to die because it hasn't got the ability to transport its nutrients. You can see they're stripped all the way up, so as they pull, they just strip these long pieces of bark off of these trees. Now this is a knob thorn, another big knob thorn, acacia tree. It's part of the acacia family, and the bark is quite easy to strip off, I think, for the elephants. But what I've noticed is something else very small. Have a look here. There's a pupa casing of sorts. Now I'm not entirely sure, but it does look, and I'm almost certain this is from a cicada bug. And the cicada, what happens is when the larva goes into pupa stage, as it hatches, the cicada bug will fly off and peel its way out of here, and I think that's exactly what that is. Fascinating, isn't it? I'm not sure, but it does look like it. So it's interesting to have a look at these trees and see what you find hiding in the bark. You'll get other insects like scorpions, spiders, all climbing into the side of the bark in the open spaces, looking for homes. I think, however, this tree, it may still survive. And even though this was fairly recent, but there's still half of the tree that has got bark on it, and that might be enough to keep this tree alive. Only time will tell. So as we were walking around through that drainage line earlier, we were having a look to see if we had any signs of Karula, whose tracks we saw earlier this morning, but unfortunately there was no sign. And we did see some hyena tracks moving through the area, but no other sign of Karula. And that squirrel that we heard alarm calling earlier, was just a paranoid squirrel, I think. There was nothing there. We had to look around. It may even have seen a bird of prey soaring above us in the distance. I'm not sure, but we couldn't see anything. We're going to continue. I'm actually heading back towards the last place we had tracks of Karula, just to see if we can find out exactly which direction she went. While I do that, let's head back to Brent for an update.
Well, it pays to be a paranoid squirrel when everything is trying to eat you out here. And we're still having a quick look around Treehouse Waterhole. Now, I know a lot of you have asked, and I keep forgetting, so I've remembered, why is this called Treehouse Waterhole? And if we go into that marula tree there, you can see the remnants of a tree house. You can see there a gum pole, and a little bit up to the right, you can see a few more there. Now, this is from way back when, probably 50s, 60s, and the Treehouse Waterhole is one of the only natural seeps in this area. So the water table is quite high. It's at the base of a seep line, and with elephants, you can see where they dig out the holes there to produce water. Even when there's no water around, they'll dig for the water. Here we go, you can see they've been up and at it there. So this was actually some of the only water around in the 50s and 60s before the man made water holes like that. And what happened was, very different time in those days. This area was they were still attempting to farm cattle here, and a lot of these permanent water holes, there would have been a hide there for shooting of predators, lions, leopards, hyenas. Of course, that stopped a long time ago, thankfully. But there's another place to the south on the Manileti River called Martley Pools, which is another natural seep. And in the tree there's actually a place where they carved how many lions, how many leopards, how many hyenas were shot from that particular hide. Of course, it's very, very different now. There hasn't been hunting in the Sabi Sands for many, 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 many years. It was a different time, and people had different ideals then, so it's easy to persecute, but hindsight is an exact science, and they didn't know they were doing anything wrong. If you think about probably one of the most famous conservationists in South Africa, Lieutenant Colonel Stevenson Hamilton, who Skukuza is named after. Skukuza is his Shangaan nickname, which is after the widow birds. And when they first started the Kruger National Park, all lion, wild dog, hyena, leopard, cheetah, jackal, all predators were shot on sight to protect the other animals. So you must think that how much conservation has changed, how much of a better understanding we have now than we did even 20 years ago. Okay, Queen Karula is being a sneaky leopard. None of us can find tracks anywhere apart from the last track we saw this morning. She has been known to zig and zag and jig and jag. One of the hardest leopards to track. A lot of leopards will purposely march in a straight line. Not our queen, not our queen at all. She likes to keep us on our toes. Now, there's much debate in camp as to whether the weather is going to dump the predicted 120 mils on us between tonight and tomorrow. Clouds are still quite high, and I don't know. For me, the pressure doesn't feel low enough for us to get rain now. Of course, that might change during the day. VM, do you think we're going to have the massive rains over the weekend?
That's why all the hippos running away.
Yes, VM thinks definitely, because there are literally hippo tracks everywhere this morning. Literally the whole Moati River from the beginning to the end is a hippo track. Hippo tracks on Cheetah Cut Line, hippo tracks on Vulture Access, hippo tracks on Weaver's Nest, hippo tracks on Philemon's Cut Line. Hippo tracks everywhere. A lot of hippos doing a lot of movement last night, including the naughty hippo broke our deck. Okay, well, we can't find Karula, but we can find her track. I'm going to show you her track quickly. It's about a few seconds away. Actually, Byron's where we last saw her tracks earlier this morning. I saw him there. But it's probably going to be better for Byron to show you the tracks from Bushwalk. But in the meantime, let's jump back on board with Jamie, see what she's up to.
Well, speaking of the predictions of rain, I've just remembered what's going to happen after breakfast, and I believe that some of us have a date with several shovels and several sandbags. Brent went to town yesterday. He bought 20 sandbags in order to block up things like the tent and things like people's rooms, to stop them from flooding in case we do have a sudden downpour that the soil just can't soak up. That means we're going to be going into the Mulwati with some shovels, and we're going to be filling sandbags after breakfast this morning. So I hope that Amanda has prepared us a hearty breakfast so that we might be energized for the task ahead. It's been a while since I've had to do sandbagging. Could be thoroughly entertaining. Right, Karula, we've only got a few more minutes to try. Oh no, maybe that was a bit difficult. It was a pair of mating dragonflies, and I could barely see where they went. Sorry, Gert. I don't know that was going to work. That was very optimistic of me. Mating dragonflies, of course, they mate in the air. So the male grasps the female, and he does most of the flying, and she sort of dangles underneath him with her abdomen curled upwards. It's wonderful to see, but it's something very difficult to get on camera. Last check of the Mulwati, we've done Batalia, we've done pretty much every single road on Djuma. I think we've just missed her. We've just missed our appointment with the Queen this morning. And of course it is entirely based on her schedule and not ours. She comes and goes as she pleases. Well, we have not been successful with the search for Queen Karula, and we have run out of time. We'll have to try again on the sunset safari. I've had a wonderful time, so a big thank you to Gert for his wonderful camera work, as well as to all of you for joining us. I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and I will see you on the sunset safari. But for now, let's go over to Byron so that he can show you the track of the Queen we've been searching for.
Saw the tracks of Karula, and I'd like to show them to you. And there's a beautiful track right here. Nice soft sand. Move that out the way. Just circle this track. Look at that beautiful leopard track in the soft sand. Isn't that fantastic? Now, when was it? Yesterday, I think, yesterday morning I spoke about the hyena track, and it's got 2 lobes at the back pad, and I said the cats are different, and now you can see this clearly. So let me get down. Oh, there's another nice track. Let me just see. There's a really nice one over here, Genre, if you can have a look. It's not as clear, but the back pad is very clear. You can see there's 1, 2, 3 lobes, and that's the whole track, or the back pad rather, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. So that's a cat track, and then you can see again over here clearly 1, 2, 3 lobes, and those very clear 4 toes. Now her track actually looks a little bit bigger here, but the reason for that is because it's in the soft sand. So what's happened is, as she stands in the soft sand, her feet will spread like this, so it looks like the track's actually bigger than what it is. Because of the soft sand, it just spreads open a little bit more. So it's not a good indication of the size of a track. A track's probably a bit smaller normally, but because of the soft sand, it's spread open a lot more. But isn't that wonderful? Lovely to see fresh leopard tracks like this. From this morning, we know, unfortunately, we couldn't find her. She seemed to evaded us, but that's what leopards do. They're not one of the most elusive cats for nothing. They are very, very shy, and if they don't want to be seen, you're not going to see them. Anyway, we're going to be heading back to camp now. We've had a wonderful morning walk. I hope you've all enjoyed it with us. Thank you to Genre on camera, and of course to Herbert for walking with us. We'll see you all this afternoon. We're going to head back to Brent now for the closing. Goodbye, everyone.
That queen of ours. Hopefully we have a bit more luck with her on the sunset safari, and we'll be able to pull her out of the bush by the tail. Oh, what we got flying there, Viam? And a big bird up in the sky. It's a white-backed vulture. Now, vultures are not fond of this weather. Cool weather, not many thermals for them to ride, makes it more difficult for them to find those lion kills. They've got to do the work. Flappity flap, flap, flap. Vultures don't like flapping their wings. They'd much prefer to catch some warm air and then glide their way to a free meal. Look at those long primary feathers on the tips there. And you can see how, along with the tail, that they're used as rudders. It is absolutely incredible when you actually start looking a little bit closer. Oh, and over our head he goes. Well done, Vim. That was nice. So, there we go, a vulture. We haven't found too many new bird species. Now, I've also come round to quarantine to see if I can find any new flowers. But I think we're going to have to wait a day or two after the rain. Definitely should go check around Cheetah Cutline. Unfortunately, there's quite a few lions there, so it makes picking flowers a little bit dangerous. But we will definitely have a look, possibly on the sunset safari. And again, a happy Thanksgiving to all of those in the United States of America. Hopefully your Thanksgiving dinner manners were a little bit better than the Nkuhuma Pride. You see, there's tracks of a fictitious animal here. It's called a hyena. I haven't seen one in so long. I don't know what they look like anymore. I was also hoping we might find a baby impala in quarantine, but alas, not yet. They might be out for the sunset safari. They definitely, hopefully, after last night, a few more little babies around. What can I hear? What can I hear? We've got 60 seconds to produce something. What can we produce? Where is it? I can hear him calling so nicely, and I cannot spot him. There he is, him. There's a little sunbird. Which one is it? A little Marico sunbird. Yay! Chirpy, chirpy, chirpy this morning. But it has been wonderful having you all on the Sunrise Safari from Wiem, aka the Wildebeest, and myself. We've had a splendid time. Unfortunately, no Karula, but wonderful interactions with the incredible Nkuhumas, and great. They're starting to look much better. They're starting to move again. We might not see them as often, but it's better for the pride, and hopefully they go from strength to strength as we get more rain. Okay, and that's us for today. It's been, as I said, marvelous. We'll see you in a few short hours for the Sunset Safari. Toodaloo for now.